I'll take this from the academic side of things, and reading Carol Dweck's stuff and going through the kind of growth mindset. There's one thing that really kind of rang true to me recently. I've read it again and read it again. Is the term and the three-letter word "yet." And I really like that. I was just seeing a podcast with somebody talking about that and how powerful the "yet" is versus the "but." And they're pretty good, but they're not yet at this level, and that can really determine how somebody takes that. Right? They are, potential D1 player, yet they need to improve their strength or their speed or their mindset. Right? They are. I teach, athletic training students in the university. They're good students, yet they still have a ways to go. Right? So I really love that term "yet." And then I think the opposite of the "yet" is the "but." I would have had a chance to go pro, but my parents didn't put me in the travel academies. I would have had a chance to go and get this job, but they didn't really like my attitude. And I said those things to myself. I didn't get a job at a prestigious SEC school about 15 years ago. And I was like, well, if I had done this better, I'm sure they would have, really offered me the job. Fully realizing now, I just wasn't ready, and nor was I good enough at that point to accept that job. So for me, growth mindset is the term "yet." It's very simple to kind of translate and relate to kids. I think parents trying to have the growth mindset for their kids is always in the public. It's, hey, you can be an engineer, you can be the president of the United States, you can be a doctor, and all those things. I think one of the things is, as a parent, great if all those things are achievable. If my son, either son becomes a president of the United States, great, but that's not really the goal. The goal for them is, can you continue to learn? Can you continue to grow? And can you be happy and successful? And I say that success is defined by what you define it as. If you decide to go and live in the woods and write music and sing and do all those things, and you're happy, fantastic. I'm not going to let somebody else define their success. I'm not going to define their success. And I think the growth mindset is understanding that there are always things to kind of build up upon, but also realizing that you're pretty good to even just recognize that a growth mindset is an important facet of your life. We sometimes try to define things too much as coaches. So just living and breathing the growth mindset on a regular basis, the yet kind of aspects, the I need to grow and develop. I think coaches, when they can open themselves up to not be the know-it-all, and you're talking to somebody who's struggled with that his entire life. I still remember teenage friends like, Jimmy, just be quiet. You think you know everything. And my older brother saying the same thing. And I got a PhD, so yes, I'm supposed to. And feeling that pressure and realizing, like, no, I'm not. So that growth mindset, being open for kids to show that you're also open to growing, is very important for coaches. We give them the tools and practice. Our time is practice time. We got to give them the tools, and it can't just be always dominating. I just talked with my 16U team the other day. I said, who are your best coaches? And they know the rote answer. The rote answer is themselves, right? So you be your own best coach. I said, well, who's the second level of coach that you go to? and they start looking around, and I got 3 coaches with me, and you could tell they don't know which coach to pick. I got a catching coach who is an ACC player. I got a pitching infielder who's still playing NAIA, and I could see them kind of looking at each other, and I was like, look, let me just give you the easy answer. It's none of us up here. They are seeing things on the field that we don't get to see. So your first coach is yourself. Your second best coach has to be your teammate, and you get to decide as a teammate what kind of coach you're going to be. And then the third, and keep on going down the rung, is your parents and your coach and so on and so forth. Like, don't think of me as your first or second option of coaching.
It's funny you say that. We talk a lot in our office about how the players know the players better than us. So we can say, you know, we think this guy's a good player, and that's our job. But sometimes the players see it from inside, and they really have some insightful things to say about their teammates.
Yeah, we just went through this. We're doing our top 5 hitters. And then I just, among coaches, and, the top 3 or 4 are kind of interchangeable. And then the 5th one is different, right? So as you keep on going down, everybody has a little different opinion of what they want. I then took it and started asking our pitchers. I said, who are the top 3 you're going to face? Yeah. And they're like, well, I don't want to face this one because he does this. I don't want to face this one and face this one. Man, and they were different than what as a coaching staff had.
Yeah, you can take all the spin rate, velocity, all that stuff. The hitters will tell you who they don't like to face. And your light goes on. You say, I had no idea. You can't pick up the ball from that lefty.
Yeah, and the pitchers will tell you who they don't like to pitch to. Like, man, this guy just drives me crazy. I can't get him out. Or, he just fouls pitches off. Or, man, if I make a mistake, it goes a mile. I might get him out 3 times, but, man, he's going to hurt, 2 of those times. So it's just funny. And all the way down, I mean, even younger kids, I remember, coaching basketball and things that, they know who is the person to kind of go to, and they know who is not. I think there's just innate pieces that people pick up of when you're in it is different than when you're observing it. And I think we have to take some of that information in from the kids and go, okay, well, why is that? Well, we can get into spin rate or his arm angle, but it also could be, man, he's just tough. He's just tough. He's just a tough person to deal with. And he's got so much confidence. I just, I struggle, or, those types of things. And, it's funny. We got, we got some kids who are on my summer team are committed and they're not committed. And it's not always the committed kid that they are like, yeah, I want, he's tough or the other way. And then same thing with our high school is, you always think, okay, well, the seniors, everybody thinks the seniors are it. And it's like, not necessarily. They don't care about the age. They just care about talent. So.
And they know it's a neat perspective they have.
Yeah, I'm pulling mine up right now on my phone, and it's important. I think it gives a framework, like it gives a habit, just like, okay, get up, brush your teeth, shower, so on and so forth, and eat breakfast. I think Sevwins is the same thing. Like I'm constantly checking my players' stats to see who's in, who's out. I kind of do their bell percentage. I put them in rank order. I'll look at their streaks. I'll look at their journals. So as a coach, I'm getting in the habit of seeing what those things are and looking at them. And I think as players, you get to see, okay, how am I doing? How am I locking in? What's my energy? And I think it's a phenomenal tool because, I constantly am at a practice or a game saying, hey, how you doing? Right? How's today going? What do how you feeling? Well, this is kind of the same thing, but on a regular basis. And my players asked me the other day, when are we going to be finished with this? I said, when you stop breathing. Because this is something that I think you should kind of do on a regular basis. This is a daily thing. And I see some of them have really bought in. Probably we have on our stats of our dashboard pieces. I got 8 guys who are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who are 90% or above. So I got 8 all-stars. Out of that 8, 6 of them are committed. I think the people who have really good daily habits have more opportunities for different things to go their way. And I don't think luck is part of that. I think it's it's effort. One of the things that you had asked in the questions was, what's a common trait or an important trait? And I'm not sure if it's a trait, but I spoke with our coach yesterday. The number one thing I've seen the difference between our teams across our high school, our teams across my travel years, students in class, students in clinical, professionals that I see, is they always seem to show up for more. The kids who show up more have more opportunity to get better. The students who show up more for extra stuff have an opportunity to get better. The professionals who show up more to clinics and conferences and discussions and talks, they have an opportunity to get better. So I think showing up is so important in just society in general. Then you have to actually do something when you show up, right? But I think if you're not there, a voice can't be heard. We just went through election. Every vote counts. Like, yes, that's showing up. Showing up to a practice. Yes. Why? It shows that you like it and care. And then it's the next things: energy, passion. We have our 5 values, which is service, thankfulness, unity, passion, and humility. I would say that number one that I work on all the time is my humility part. I always screw that one up. But it is so important for people to realize to show up for things.
When you read an athlete's response, what's something you take from what they write to you? They may have written it 5 hours earlier, but you're reading it. What are you pulling from what they're saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to look if a variety of things. I'm trying to see if they're reaching out for some help. It gives me a common language to talk about. Like, I have a lot of on the reads. I like to discuss with them what they're reading. And it's amazing. I introduced a couple books last year to them, and they're still reading them. And I don't know if they are doing that to try to appease me, but it's not like I brought it up. I mean, I literally showed them a couple of books last year, and they're now showing up. I'm reading my Mind Gym on a regular basis. I'm like, yeah. And the reason I like the Mind Gym is just because it's short paragraph or short stories kind of there. I see where their stresses are. The normal stresses that we see with kids, tests, not getting enough sleep, not eating enough, not getting enough rest. They're kind of pointing out to themselves that, I was really tired today because I stayed up late studying. I realize now I should have studied earlier and spread it out instead of crammed it all in one night. So I see them self-reflecting as they're writing, because they're, it's not great paragraphs. You could see them writing, and then they realize, like, ooh, I should have done this. So it's really, really interesting on that part. I love they're starting to understand, instead of what a leader is in definition, they're starting to understand what it feels like. And that it's not so I had one that said, I did this thing on the field and I didn't know if it was going to be taken well or not. So our shortstop went to our first baseman, and he was struggling, and the shortstop went to him and said, "Hey, pick your head up. You're going to be okay." I said, "Well, what were you worried about?" And he said that I was being too hard on him. He goes, but he needed it. He was kind of just kept on going down. And then after practice, one of the coaches saw that and asked, "You two, what did you guys talk about?" And, kids didn't want to talk about it. but I had already seen it being talked about in their Sevwins. So it was interesting that they write stuff that they don't want to verbalize, and then it takes a little bit, and then they come out verbalized. So I feel like in the written text world of these kids, they're so much more comfortable writing on these things than they are verbalizing anything, and it gives just I feel a greater insight of being able to reach the kids than without the Sevwins app.
As they write that reflection and they change their line of reasoning within the paragraph, what do you think that does for them?
I think it's eye-opening for them. I think they kind of almost have these aha moments as they're kind of going through, as they're kind of writing down. So I'll read one to you, and you'll see it as it's kind of going. So keep being a leader and being a great teammate, right? So there's a standard response. By encouraging my teammates at basketball is where that. Then you start seeing it kind of come out. They have a problem when things don't go their way. They put their head down, and I need to bring the elite status to them and say, forget about it and go get the next one and pick them up. Like, that's not written as a stock answer of a leader defined or a teammate defined. You see it start kind of coming out going, hey, I have been doing this, and this is what I need to do. And this is what I need to make sure of that I don't do either, as far as like let my head get down and so on and so forth. So it's really like, I think they almost are, as they're writing, they're definitely learning as they're writing, but it's almost like aha moments as they're kind of going through. They keep on kind of going a little deeper, which I don't think they would if it was like just a straight text. And I don't think they would if it was just conversations.
You send chills up my spine with that, because one of my theories on this is every rep, we're as a coach, you look at every rep, and sometimes in the middle of a rep, a guy makes this subtle adjustment. It's subtle, but it's a breakthrough for him. And that's what I think happens in these reflections is they just start to steer in the right direction. They grind through the idea and they end up going in a slightly better way than they did at the beginning, right before they started to type. But in that process, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, to me, that's poetry. What you just read and how it changes, it shapes, it arcs up.
I think on the field, they understand that there's more to the game and more to their success and failure than just the outcome of the score. And whether that score is, batting practice going 8 for 10 or, a game score. I think they realize that there's more to it. I think they're now having some framework. I think it's really easy to say the Yogi Berra and the other pieces of how so important the mental game is, but they don't have any strategies. It's kind of like saying to a kid, get stronger, but you don't give them a weight room program. You don't give them any tips on how to get stronger. It's like saying eat better. Well, what does that mean? I think this is kind of the growth mindset, train your mental part without getting too in the weeds of, like, I don't know if they have to understand, what the amygdala does and the flight or fight response and all these, where the cerebellum comes in and the premotor cortex and all that stuff. Like, we can get into that parts of motor learning, but that's not what they need. They need to go, okay, am I locked in? What's keeping me from being locked in? How locked am I today? We've already talked about, can we have scores for their practice or their game or their lift so that they have multiple scores in a day? I think it's given them framework to understand how to, quote unquote, mentally train. Number one is understand that you won't ever have all the right answers and you won't ever have all the wrong answers. So I think everybody has a unique perspective about everything that we have in the world. I don't care if it's politics or countries or perspectives in baseball, all these things. I don't think everybody's going to have the right way or the wrong way. They're just definitely going to have a way. That's number one. I would say number two, and I'm still really trying to do this better, listen more. And just really focus on intently listening to the world around you. And I don't just mean coaches and parents and teachers, but I mean, look at the sky and just, take that in and listen with your eyes. I always give the advice of kids who are going to, a field for the first time and just look around. I always give the advice to a wedding couple, and I always usually give it to the husband to be. Just when you're at your reception and when you're at the wedding, just look at all the people and just take snapshots with your eyes and just put those memories in your head. I always tell, fathers to be, is just try to take a snapshot of when that baby's born and a snapshot of that feeling that you have, which you can't describe. You don't understand what love is until love becomes something that's automatic. And so a 16-year-old kid doesn't really know what love is, but when they feel it, they know they have it, and it lasts forever. So when I say listen, it doesn't just mean with your ears. It means with your heart and your mind and your soul and everything that's part of that. So you're never going to be wrong all the time. You're never going to be right all the time. And I would say listen. And I think that's just life in general. So.